Hello, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking through my node tree that I use to color grade every video. But today I've not got Vimto Energy, I have a Dr. Pepper. Let's get this going. See, I've got these one-hand cracks down. Right, so I just want to preface by this is my node tree. This is how I use it, and it might not be used the same for you, or it might not work for you. It's all personal preference. There's many node trees out there. You can get more in depth, you can get less in depth. This is just how I prefer to do it. So let's get right into the video. The first thing you kind of want to create is the two end nodes. These are going to be your color space transforms. Now let me just show you here. I've clicked on this first node. You go onto your effects. Your input color space is your screen's color space. So mine is Rec 709 Gamma 2.4. I've adjusted it to that. And then your output color space wants to be what DaVinci is. So that's your DaVinci wide gamut and your DaVinci intermediate. They're the ones that you want to have. And then your end node, if I hide that and we go onto effects, that is going to be DaVinci wide gamut back into what your screen sees. So you'll be able to see the changes you've made on what your screen sees. That's essentially what they're used for, from what I know. I could be wrong. If I am wrong, correct it in the comments, because, you know, I want to create a community here that helps everyone out. So how do you actually build this once you have your color space transforms? Well, I'm going to teach you. So what you're going to do is do Command S. This is on a Mac. It might be, I think it's Control S on a Windows. From there, you're going to Command S 3 times. Now, this will get you to your power nodes. Now, your power nodes are the trees that I have here and here. And now, some of these I don't actually touch, but they're good to have if need be. So from these 3 nodes, you're going to do Command P. Command P is going to create your 4 power nodes, right? And these will all connect up from the previous 3 nodes. And from there, you're then going to do Command S, and that's for a serial node. Now, your serial node, you know, just for your final adjustments. And then you're going to do Command P 3 more times to make the 3 more power nodes. Now, you might be thinking, why more power nodes? Well, I, in property videos, found that it was very useful for, say you wanted to blur out a property number or a number plate or something like that. I found that those 3 nodes were very handy. After those 3 power nodes, you're going to create 3 more serial nodes. Now, these 3 serial nodes can have different things. Half the time, I don't touch them because they're not needed. Everything has usually been done in the previous nodes. But on the last node is where you want to put your LUT. If you're going to be using LUTs, put them on that last node, the one before the color space transform. Now, in the tutorial that helped me build it, he did put a node afterwards for any adjustments. But I've found that's not really necessary for me, so there's no point in me adding that in. But you can if you want to. Now, this is a basic node tree. It'll get you by. I've found that I've never needed anything other than this node tree. And what I've found with DaVinci is, and I really like this, is you can grab a still of an image that you've made the node tree with, go onto your gallery up here, and it should show up. The reason it's not on my screen is because I don't have a still from this shot. But what you can do is you can grab the still and then export with LUT. So I'll show you now. What we'll do is we will grab still and then from there export with display LUT. So say I put it into my Shacklemore Productions folder, export. I didn't give it a title. From there, what you can do is you can then import with output LUT, and it'll take a moment potentially if it works. You go on to here, editing Shacklemore Productions, and import, and that's still there. We'll then import, because you can then apply grade. So we'll go over to the next shot because that's not got a grade on it. We'll apply grade and your node tree is on there. Now, I'm going to Command Z on that because I don't want that. But that is an option. So you can save this node tree. What I would say, though, is if you are going to build this node tree, maybe export it as a clear LUT with just the color space transforms done. And then you can just adjust from there for anything in the future, any projects that you might do. But I've found that this color grading setup has helped so much. I mean, I used to have 3 or 4 nodes and I didn't know anything about node trees. And then I found them out and I was blown away. Oh yeah, I don't know if you've noticed, but we're back on the sofa. I thought that this was a better setup. I quite like being on the sofa, and we've got our trusty cardboard box. So we can't go wrong in these videos, can we? We can't go wrong. Apart from on one of my shorts that I uploaded this week, did have a copyright claim. We've disputed that. What I do want to say is if you want to like and subscribe, then please do. We're trying to create a community of videographers, editors, people starting their own production companies, you know, just creatives on this channel. You know, I've wanted to build something like this for ages, and if anything I say appeals to you or speaks to you, please don't hesitate to subscribe, leave a comment, a like. This is a community. This isn't just me telling you how to edit, because I am not the oracle of all knowledge. I will say that now. So let's go through the node tree as a whole. None of my nodes are named. I mean, I could, if I wanted to, go through and name them. I can't remember how you do it, but there's a way, because I used to have them named, but I don't anymore. So the node tree, how do we use it? What are the nodes going to be used for? There's little icons, but I will show you. So this first node, it's not named. How are we going to know what we're doing? Well, the first node is for your exposure and your offset. So your offset is about the colors. So if I change my red all the way up, you can see it goes very red. My green all the way up, we go to some weird shade of green, and then your blue is the same. This is where you kind of make your first adjustments to colors. If you are going to be putting a LUT on, jump to this end node and put your LUT on at the start of editing, because then you can adjust it as you go along. But back to the start, we've also got in your HDR wheel your exposure. Now your exposure does what it says on the tin. It's the exposure of your image. I noticed when watching it back that my image could have been turned up a bit just based off the LUT that I had on it. But you know, if I it's just a bit darker. That's it. It just creates a bit of a darker image around the side. Now, node number 2, what's that used for? We've got our exposure, we've got our offset. What's node number 2 used for? Well, node number 2 is used for your contrast. So obviously I've dropped my contrast a bit, but if you see I turn it up, you've got your weird image here. This is full contrast. I did not expect it to look like that, that's for sure. But that is what your contrast does. And if I went back and turned it all the way down, see, you've got a grayed out image. With contrast, you want to just fine tune it. You don't need to whack it all the way up. You don't need to whack it all the way down, as you've just seen. When doing property videos, I didn't always touch it, and that's always node number 2. Now, node number 3, what's that about? Well, it's another HDR setting, but your node number 2 is your saturation. Now, saturation is, again, personal preference. It's like any color grading thing. It's all personal preference, depending on what you're trying to achieve. But if I turn my saturation all the way up, you can see I get a very red and yellow image. And if I turn it all the way down, we get a very grey image, don't we? Saturation is balance. It's almost like editing is like riding a bike. Just putting that one out there. Good video. You should go and watch it. Not right now, though. We're talking about node trees. With saturation, you obviously don't want to be oversaturated. You don't want to be undersaturated. It's fine tuning. That's all this node tree is. Now we're moving on to our first power node. Don't stress yourself. All it means is that these 4 nodes work in conjunction with themselves. So when you move on to your next serial node, all those 4 adjustments will have been done and put into that. But what is our first power node? Well, our first power node is our temperature and our tint. Now, temperature, I whacked on this edit down to 30 because it felt a bit too warm. You know, the image felt a bit too warm. If we whack it all the way up, you're getting a very orange image. Whack it all the way down, you're getting a very blue image. You know, you don't really see much change there, do you? If I whack it up to 80, it goes a bit warmer. Whack it up to -20, it's a little bit colder, but it felt right. Felt right to me, you know. That's what I was trying to achieve. My tint was only 0.5 up to the purple end. But what happens if we whack it all the way up? Should we have a look? It goes very purple. All the way down, very green. 0.5 looks fine. You know, it is a bit of a change, but it's very subtle. Now, power node number 2, what are we saying here? It's another HDR one. But power node number 2, you might be wondering what's changed. Well, it's the global color. Now, we can have a play around with it, but obviously I've gone for something like that. And you might notice it says 0.01. It's not a massive change, but there is a little bit of a change. I can always bring it a bit cooler, a bit warmer. You know, if we want to go for a bit of a warm image, but then how do we counteract this warm image? Say you don't want it to be, you know, orange. Head back up to your first power node. Whack that down a little bit to minus 370. Look at that. That's not warm, is it? I don't know what I had it on, but that's where we were. I think. Yeah, apparently we were. Now power node number 3, we move on to our curves. But you might notice when I've clicked on curves, there's nothing. What you want to do is you want to head over to this little thing called the hue versus hue. You might be looking at it like, what are these bumps? Well, if we go over to our image, say I click on my skin tone, we can then go onto here. I could be a blue alien, you know, I could be, I want to be a little bit, just a little bit looking like a Geordie, you know. Now again, I've found this node very helpful, especially doing property videos. You want to make the grass as green as possible. You use this, you select the grass, and you just make it look the nicest possible. Same with the sky, same with colours around the room. Say they've got like a blue countertop. From the previous ones, it's not looking so blue. So you want to click that, go on to the other thing, and voila, you can make it blue. Sometimes it doesn't always work and you have to fine tune it, but you'll get the hang of that when you're using this node tree. Now power node number 4 is again curves, but it's curves. You might notice it's very subtle on all the curves. It's purely only the red curve that I've used. I don't always touch this one, I must admit. People are like, no, you need to have S curves in every color grade, you need to do this, that and the other. If you want to achieve a certain look, don't listen to them. Achieve that look however you need to achieve that look. You know, your first color grades are going to look shocking. At the end of the day, that is the case. You'll think it looks amazing. 5 years later, you'll look back at it and go, what was I thinking? That's happened with me. That's happened with plenty of other video people I know. And it's all trial and error. Same with every video technique that I have ever taught. It's all trial and error. Now, we're heading into our next serial node. We've done all of our power nodes for now, but we're heading to our next serial node. Now, what are we doing with this one? Let me just tell you. This last serial node is shadows and highlights. Now, shadows and highlights, again, are all personal preference. I thought that the shadows in this shot were very dark. I turned it up. This is what it's like on 100%. That's what it's like on minus 100%. It's a very dark image there. I've whacked it up a little bit, but it's not too high that the image then becomes overexposed, and it's not too low that it's a very dark image and you won't want to watch the video. I then have turned my highlights down, because if I do that, you can't really notice the difference until, so 1750, that's what they're on. Bring it back, you can see it's still a little bit bright. Turn it down ever so slightly. I'll turn it down to 26. I think that looks alright. You know, I've not got glowing skin because we don't want that, and I've not got a dark image. You know, minus 100 looks like that, which actually, looking at it now, I don't think looks too bad. 100, now that's way too bright. That's like you've been flashbanged in a room. Minus 26 looks alright. 0 still looks alright. It comes back to this thing of it's all about personal preference. You might look at that and go, what were you thinking? What was that color grade? I look at that and I'm like, actually, I quite like that. This is why films have different looks and color grades. We're going to move on to the nodes that I've not used for this color grade specifically. We've got 3 more power nodes. I tend to use these for blurring stuff out, for making any adjustments that potentially might need to be done, or, you know, just leaving. You know, you might not want to use it, and that's fine. You've got 2 more serial nodes that, again, I've not touched because I didn't think it was needed. But at the end of the day, it's better to have too many nodes than not enough. You know, you don't want to be cramming in 70 nodes into one node tree. You don't need 60 of them. Than to have all of these only use essentially 70% of them. Do you know what I mean? You then have, obviously, node 17. This is where you would put your LUT at the very start if you were using a LUT like I have here. But there's so many options to pick from, and if you have any recommendations in the comments, especially for color grading and LUTs and anything like that, leave a link below. I also want to give a shout out to this comment who suggested this video and asked for the node tree tutorial. Thank you. You've solved my video issues this week because I didn't know what I was going to record. And if there's any more that you want to see, then please let me know in the comments. If you want to see a video about all of my old projects and all of the stuff I've made, or if you want to see a video about filming on cheap cameras, or maybe even want me to react to your stuff, then please let me know in the comments down below and we will make it happen. Potentially next week, potentially the week after. I don't know. Next weekend, though, I am filming another motorcycle race day. So potentially it'll be a vlog from that day. I'll take the GoPro. I'm filming with one rider. I'm not going to say anything more than that. But other than that, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. And I will see you next Sunday for another video. Goodbye.